Hello, you little tinkers and you little tinkettes. How are you doing? Today I'm going to talk about this bloody timeline that we're on and some questions that I pumped the emissaries with about it, trying to pin them down a bit. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So a while ago I had a conversation with Gary. We were doing some hypnosis, but before we started we had this long chat about the fact that the more that we know, the more that we get to know, the more we realise that we don't know anything. That means to know that you don't know, you've got to know an awful lot of things. Right? And it sounds like a strange contradiction of terms, but the more that you know, the more that you know you don't know. And so I've been pondering over this timeline. What I'm aware of is that from a long time ago, the emissaries have always said, this timeline is not as long as you think. And they kept saying that as a mantra. Every time I talked about timelines, so I was going through, I was right into timelines, and they were going, it's not as long as you think. But of course, they don't get into times. They just said, it's just not as long as you think. And so my little mind started to look at what I'm seeing. So we've got all of these things happening. Like at the back end of the 19th century, all of the horrible, horrible organisations that are causing us awful, awful experiences now started up. Even the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Bible students as they started up, financed by the Rothschilds, I believe, or the Rockefellers. I always get them mixed up. Financed by them, and the person who started it was a 33-degree Mason. And then you look at all of the other weird religious groups all starting up about the same time. Then you look at all of these all of these groups that got together to start talking about what they were going to do to us, all the government leaders getting together. There were loads of them that started then. All of the things to do with people with little hats, like some really important ones, all started then. I did a video a while ago showing how many organisations started at the end of the 19th century. So something kicked off then. And then you see the pictures of Tartaria. Then you see the information about the mud floods. And then you see the information about the world fairs. Then you see the information about the Cabbage Patch dolls and the children, babies in incubators. Then you see the information about the trains that brought endless amounts of children. Then you read the information about the mega amount of lunatic asylums that there were, of people who were just put in there, maybe people who had seen a reset and couldn't cope with the new start. And so what I see is that that's a pivotal moment where everything seemed to kick off, like a start. So my little mind saying, I wonder if our particular timeline started then. So I put that to the emissaries and I explained all of that. And I said to them, am I on the right track that it started there? And their answer in their words was, we can neither confirm nor deny that. It's literally what they said. We can neither confirm nor deny that. The fact that they can't deny it is interesting. But they said, at the beginning, and they just laid it out for me. They said, at the beginning of this timeline, bad, the devil, Beelzebub, whatever, Old Nick, if you want to call him that, was given dominion over this timeline. And they said, we have all of the clues are there, the biblical story. They said, even as a metaphor, was saying that the devil was given dominion over the earth. The devil, when he went to Jesus after he'd not eaten for 40 days, that was a good fast. I did 5 days I've done maximum, and I was a bit wibbly wobbly. God only knows what you must be like after 40 days. So he caught him at a weak point, and he said, just do one act of worship to me, and I will give you all the kingdoms of the world. How on earth could he give them to Jesus if they weren't his? They're his. And so they said that. That's how it started. This timeline starts with the devil having dominion. And they say what he has to do on this timeline is that he has to use a softly approach. Because I said, well, if the devil was given dominion, why didn't you just make it into hell straight away? And they said, that's not the purpose. Because the purpose of the devil, the job that he has, if you read the story of Job in the Bible, his job is to get people to turn away from God. But the most important thing is, the emissary said, willingly. It's got to be their choice. If he just forces them into it, then that's not their choice. It's got to be softly, manipulation, Psy-Op. And they said, at the beginning of this timeline, the devil formulated and began the biggest Psy-Op ever. The Psy-Op of the entire world. And the Psy-Op was designed to take jolly good people and bring them into chaos and disarray and soulless. And do you know what I find fascinating is if you go back and you look, I've got a book of South Shields, where I'm from, my hometown, and it's a book from the very beginnings of the 20th century. Photos, the first photos that came out. What struck me as I looked at the photos, without exception, everybody was so well dressed. And I'm talking about taking extreme pride in their appearance. There were pictures of the children coming out of school. There were pictures of men coming out of work. And they were all dressed nicely with a cap on. Just everybody was dressed nicely. Go out into the street now and you look at how people are dressed. You look at what people are putting on themselves, how people feel about themselves. They are a mess. All self-love, self-worth, self-esteem has been ripped out of them. I know because I work with people in therapy, and my job is to help them to get the self-worth, the self-esteem and the self-love back, because it's gone. And that's what this timeline has been about. The baddies, the devil, if you want, and it doesn't, it doesn't matter what you think that is. It's just, if you want to say that energy, that dark energy, getting people to lose touch with themselves, to lose touch with God. The emissary said that at the beginning of the timeline, they had very little influence. Very little influence. They said that their job was just to help a small amount of people to keep the faith. That was their job. But now they've got much more influence, they say, because we're coming to the end of it. We're coming to the end, and that's the way the plan works, I think. And that so many people now are waking up from the hypnosis of this massive Psy-Op across this timeline. And so I think this timeline is designed to help us to come full circle. In fact, the emissaries said this, these were their words: the purpose of this particular timeline that we've chosen is to allow us to understand what it's like, what it feels like to lose God and to find God again. It's exactly what they said: lose God and find God. And so that's beautiful for me. It's a beautiful purpose of the timeline. The purpose for the devil of this timeline is to get as many people as he can, he, putting a gender on him, he, her, they, well, if you see Baphomet, it's a bit of both, isn't it, really, is to get people to turn away from God. That's the purpose. And all the clues are there, the divisions, the sheep and the goats, the wheat from the chaff, all of that. This is the idea. Do I think that the story of Job is a lovely one? No, I think it's absolutely horrific, because it's a bet. If you read it from our perspective, it's a bet. God says, go on then, do your worst, see what you can do to him. And this timeline, it's like a bet, isn't it? Go on then, see what you can do, see how many you can get to turn away from me. And when you look at it like that, and that's how I used to look at it. I used to look at it and be disgusted with with the story. It made me think of a joke, which I'm not going to share because it's very rude. Yes, I was disgusted by the story of Job, but I'm not now. And I'll tell you for why. Why am I not disgusted? Why do I not say this is just a horrible game that we've been put into? Because I know that we chose to go and come down here. We chose this game. Out of all of the timelines that we could choose from, we chose this one. Why? Because this is one hell of a ride. And because we had the confidence that we were going to see through the Psy-Op. We had the confidence that we were going to prevail. And we have. And we will. And so this timeline wasn't forced on us. In fact, as the rumours go, there was a clamour in the heavens of beings who wanted to come down here. Why? Because this is the number one ride in the amusement park. This is the roller coaster of death. And that's why we come here. And we come here so that we can be an expression of God, an experience, this most incredible experience, and then come out the other side. Just imagine, we get to the other side. There's going to be an awful lot of patting on the back. In fact, do it now. Pat yourself on the back now, because the fact that you're here and the fact that you're awake and you've understood what's going on deserves a pat on the back. But there's going to be a lot of patting on the back on the other side, like, well done. Yeah, is it Peter? Well done, everybody. You've all done a lovely job. Well done. Now, we've got rooms there for trauma management. We've got rooms there for anybody who wants to cry for the next millennia. Well done. That's what it's about. And so how was your journey on the return? Losing God and finding God. That's exactly, it describes my life. Having God thrust upon me as a child that I didn't even like or understand, thought he was awful. Losing him, losing myself, finding God. Beautiful. How many people here listening to this have been through that, are going through that, or would like to go through that? I love you all, and I'll speak to you all later. Take care.